Welcome. In this video, let's discuss about the deteriorating Great Barrier Reef. So the Great Barrier Reef, which is located in Australia, is deteriorating at a higher pace because of the impeding climate change. So this topic is actually important from the perspective of your GS paper 1 as well as your GS paper 3. So GS paper 1 in terms of geographical climate change and in GS paper 3 for your environment perspective. So let's discuss about the Great Barrier Reef and what kind of harmful effects climate change is having over it. So recently the International Union for Conservation of Nature, which is your IUCN, just remember this is the same organization which released the red data list. So the red list, which is about the endangered species, so that is also released by the IUCN. The same organization has highlighted that the Australia's Great Barrier Reef is in critical state and deteriorating as climate change warms up the waters in which it lies. So climate change is actually causing the warm water to warm up, and eventually this is having adverse effect on the Great Barrier Reef. Great Barrier Reef is the world's most extensive and spectacular coral reef ecosystem, composed of around 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands. So it is actually a spectacular system of coral reef which has developed in the Australia. It is located in the Coral Sea, so the sea got its name from the coral reef itself. It is called as coral reef, which is located off the coast of Queensland in Australia. Now the interesting fact about it is that it can be seen from the outer space and is the biggest single structure made by a living organism. So from the living organism, it is the biggest single structure. So these are the basic trivia knowledge that you could know about the Great Barrier Reef. Now let's try to understand the location. In this map, if you see, so this is the Australia and this is where your Great Barrier Reef is located. So the sea is actually called as the Coral Sea because of the coral reef itself, and this is against the Queensland. So this is Queensland in Australia. This is the geographical location. It is important just to look in the map and see the geographic location of the Great Barrier Reef. Finally, let's also try to understand how coral reefs are formed in general. So the reef structure is composed of and built by billions of tiny organisms known as coral polyps. So it is actually the coral polyps which build the reef structure. They are made up of genetically identical organisms called polyps, which are tiny soft body organisms. So they are soft bodies, but at their base is a hard protective limestone skeleton which is called as calculi, which forms the structure of coral reef. So it is actually the limestone structure of coral polyps which leads to formation of structure of coral reefs. These polyps have a microscopic algae known as the zooxanthella living within their tissues. The coral and the corals and the algae have mutualistic or symbiotic relationship. So basically it means that the zooxanthella is the one which provide colors to the coral polyps and coral polyps provide it with food and shelter. So this is the mutual relationship that is between the coral polyps and the zooxanthella, and it is actually this mutual relationship which lead to the formation of so colorful coral reefs. So this is how the coral reefs are formed. Now what are the concerns actually? So corals along with large swathe of around 2,300 kilometer reef have been killed by rising sea temperatures linked to climate change. So climate change is posing a major threat to the coral reef, leaving behind skeletal remains in a process known as coral bleaching. So what happens when coral face stress by changing in conditions like temperature? So when there is a temperature rise or there is more nutrients, they expel the symbiotic algae zooxanthella living in their tissue. So this is what happens when the corals feel stress because of the change in the temperature. They will do away with the symbiotic relationship they have with the zooxanthella. So they kind of expel the zooxanthella from their tissues, which eventually will lead the coral reef to turn into white, and that is why it is called as coral bleaching, because the color is, as mentioned earlier, is provided by the zooxanthella. So when the zooxanthellae is actually expelled from the coral reefs, it will means that the corals are now white, which from the outside look like they have been bleached. Hence the process is called as coral bleaching. Corals can recover if the stress caused bleaching is not severe. Again, this is something like if it is not very simultaneous, they will be able to recover. In August 2019, Australia downgraded its long-term outlook to very poor for the first time, and there are high chances that it will be considered for the list of World Heritages in danger. So it is going to put, so Great Barrier Reef is actually one of the World Heritage site, and recently in 2019, because of the successive coral bleaching that is happening with the Great Barrier Reef, Australia is considering to put the Great Barrier Reef in World Heritage sites in dangers. What does this basically means? It will means that the list is designed to inform the international community of conditions which threaten the very characteristics for which the property was inscribed on the World Heritage list. So it was actually the colorful, delightful, beautiful coral reef which actually make it the World Heritage site. But if the coral bleaching happens very frequently, and it is like permanent damage is being caused to the coral reef structure, it will not be able to retain it as a World Heritage site, and hence Australia is deciding to put it into the World Heritage site in dangers. So these are the basic details for you to know. You should know how the coral reefs are formed, the symbiotic relationship between the coral polyps and the zooxanthellae, what is coral bleaching, and in general the geographic location of the Great Barrier Reef. So I hope you have understood this video. If you have any doubt, feel free to drop a comment. Thank you.